Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Eric May, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased to have you joined for our next live presentation from White Gold. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the bottom left of the slides. Once the Q&A session has ended, don't log out. You will automatically be transferred into the White Gold booth, where you can continue to ask questions via chat and access additional shareholder materials. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Terry Brace, Vice President of Exploration of White Gold Corp, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol WHGOF and on the TSXV under the symbol WGO. Welcome back, Terry.
Thank you very much, Eric, and hello, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to hear our story today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company and some of our projects in the Yukon Territory in Canada. So first of all, I need to remind you of the cautionary / forward-looking statements, and we do our best, of course, to tell things the way they really are, but sometimes things happen that we can't control. So anyway, the expectations, I think, are realistic that we present here. So the opportunity, again, we're in the Yukon in Canada. We have a district-scale land package. It's located in west central Yukon. It measures over 1 million acres. We've got a nice mix of projects. We've got some significant mineral deposits in the area. Both owned by White Gold. We have the Golden Saddle and ARC deposits, Newmont's Coffee gold deposits nearby, as well as Western Copper and Gold's Casino project. We have a very experienced management team. Shawn Ryan is our chief technical advisor, and he's been prospecting and exploring in the Yukon for about the last 25 years. And Shawn's been involved in several major discoveries in the Yukon, including the Golden Saddle discovery in 2008 and the Coffee deposit in 2010. Myself, I have about 35 years of experience, mostly in mineral exploration, but also involved in some mine development as well. And then we have a very strong connection with the Power One Group, which is a Toronto-based merchant bank, and they have a strong focus on mining and the natural resources sector in general, so some close ties there as well. Our mineral properties, as I said, represent a nice blend. We've got some advanced stage exploration projects, as well as a large number of early stage projects. Our flagship project is the Golden Saddle and ARC deposits. Those deposits collectively, we have about 1.1 million ounces of gold in the indicated category and an additional 400,000 ounces in the inferred category. Our VG deposits nearby, about 10 kilometers to the north, that contains an additional 230,000 ounces of gold in the inferred. And finally, we have two major gold mining companies, Agnico Eagle and Kinross Gold. We're lucky to have those as our strategic partners. They provide both financial support to the company as well as some very good technical advice on our projects. In addition to that, Erg Sprott participated in our last financing last year, so that's a little bit of a vote of confidence there for our projects. This slide shows some of the key time events for the company. You can see that we're a relatively young company formed in 2016, so we're about 5 years old. In the meantime, we think we've accomplished a lot in a short period of time. Right out of the gate, Agnico Eagle made a major investment of $14.5 million for 19.9% of the company. So again, a good vote of confidence, I think, in the projects that we had and what we were bringing to the table. And then shortly after that, we acquired Kinross's assets in the district. And that included the Golden Saddle and ARC deposits, again, for 19.9% of the company. So, again, very early on in the company's history, we were sitting on some significant gold resources and a very large number of, prospective exploration projects. And then since that time, we've gradually been increasing the size of our gold resources, about 50% increase since acquiring those assets. And in early 2019, we also acquired another smaller project called the VG deposit, and that has about 230,000 ounces of gold. And in addition to the resources, we've made several new discoveries, fairly recent discoveries, including the Ryan Surprise and the Betty Ford target on our Betty property. We'll show you some slides on those just to give you a flavor for some of these exploration projects. This chart shows the capital structure for the company. Currently, both Agnico and Kinross each own about 17% of the company, so roughly 1/3 collectively. Management and insiders own 23%, and then the remaining 43% falls in the public float, strategic institutions, and Eric Sprott. Currently, we have 138.5 million shares outstanding, with 2.8 million warrants and 6 million options. In the last week or so, we've been trading between 50 and 55 cents Canadian, which gives us a market cap in the order of about 75 million Canadian. So this slide just shows you, is meant really just to provide some context about where we are and where we're exploring. The Klondike Gold Rush occurred in the late 1800s with the discovery of placer gold just south of Dawson City. That's about 75 kilometers east of the Yukon-Alaska border. So that's kind of the geographic area we're in. Since that time, approximately 20 million ounces of placer gold have been mined from the area. And, it's still a very active placer gold mining area. And despite that, there really hasn't been a lot of hard rock exploration. There's been an increase over the last 15 years or so. And again, that's resulted in, several significant discoveries. So this slide provides a summary of our land package. Again, we've got about 40% of the district, over 1 million acres. So we are the largest landholder in the area. And most of our projects, we basically have three buckets. The advanced stage projects are the ones with gold resources. Those would include the Golden Saddle, the ARC, and the VG Zone. And then we have a number of projects where we've made a discovery through drilling. Those are kind of intermediate. And then we have a large number of these early stage properties, Bonanza, NOLAN, IND, and so on. So anyway, we really like our mix of projects. And really, during the presentation today, I'll just show you some of those just so you can get a flavor for that. So this is a summary of our mineral resources. Again, the Golden Saddle and ARC are really the flagships. And of those two, the Golden Saddle is by far the larger one and the most significant. But you can see in the top row there, we've got about 1.1 million ounces of gold, open pitable at 2.31 grams per ton. That's again in the indicated category. So for an open pit type scenario, that's quite good grade. There is a small underground component for the Golden Saddle, but it's in the order of about 65,000 ounces. So it's relatively small and really hasn't been a focus of our exploration or the previous operators. It's really been more focused on that shallow open pit material. And you can see the ARC there is an adjacent deposit, and it has just over 200,000 ounces of gold, slightly lower grade, just over 1 gram. So, and again, that's a combination of indicated and inferred. You can see the numbers there, but again, all open pit. The VG deposit, that one we acquired early 2019 from another junior company, and you can see 230,000 ounces of gold at 1.65 grams per ton. And again, that's right at surface open pitable material. So, that's a good summary, I think, of the actual gold resources that we're currently sitting on. This slide basically provides a summary of our exploration program that we carried out this year. We did diamond drill programs on 2 of our properties, the White Gold and the Betty properties. The drilling we did on Betty this year actually represents the first diamond drilling on that project, so we're quite excited about that one. We did RAB drilling. That stands for rotary air blast drilling. Those are really shallow holes, about 100, no more than about 100 meters in length. But we use that as a first pass for screening near surface targets. And then if we get encouraging results, we go back in with the diamond drill. And we did RAB drilling on 2 of our projects, a couple of targets on the White Gold property, as well as the Bonanza property up near Dawson City in the north. We did a fairly extensive regional program as well, which is pretty much standard. Those will be earlier stage type exploration activities like geological mapping, soil sampling, ground geophysics, and so on. And so that's always a significant part of our programs because we're always trying to identify new targets and really advance them ultimately to get them to the drill ready stage for later more advanced work. We're also doing an updated NI 43-101 compliant mineral resource estimate on our VG deposit. The current estimate was done in 2014. There's been some drilling done since then, and we just want to be able to, update that to a current resource so we can talk about it and present it under the White Gold banner. So this is the first area that we diamond drilled this year. It's called the Ryan Surprise. It's really been a focus of ours for the last 2 seasons. We're about 2 kilometers off to the west of the Golden Saddle deposit. So really our work this year and last year hasn't been as much focused on the deposits themselves. We're really trying to identify new areas of mineralization that ultimately could add ounces to our overall project. And you can see the base map here really is showing with the magenta colors, the oranges, the yellow, that's golden soils. And you can see that northwest mineralized trend that we're sitting on there. Ryan Surprise is one of a number of targets along that trend. We've got the Ulis Ridge just off to the south. We drilled that one as well. On Ryan Surprise, this is a drill plan showing the work we did last year and again this year. The purple oval shape really just outlines the area where we focused our drilling last year. And one of the nice things that we came away with last year's drilling were some of these really nice higher grade intercepts. And those are kind of highlighted in the yellow colors off in the table in the right. You can see hole 13, we had about 3.5 meters of 17.4 grams. And holes 17 and 18, those were on the westernmost cross section. Again, some very nice grades, almost 11 grams over 3.76. And our strongest hole was actually hole 18, where we had 8.7 grams per ton gold over 12.3 meters. So, that really gave us enough encouragement to go back in this year with another program. That is really outlined by the red drill collars and drill traces. And the goal of this year's drilling really was to identify or to be able to trace some of that higher grade mineralization along strike off to the west, as well as a bit deeper down dip. So essentially trying to establish continuity as well as size potential to that mineralization, just to see if we can, add an area that could potentially add more resources. As well, we did a little bit more drilling off to the southwest, which is shown on that map. That drilling was really testing more near surface mineralization that was indicated by soil sampling and a technique that we call GT probe. That's where we drive a hole down through the overburden, through the soil to the bedrock interface, collect the sample every 5 meters, and then assay that and see what the results are. But it's really a nice way to better define the soil anomaly on the ground. It gives us a much higher level of confidence in exactly where that anomaly is in bedrock. And last year's sampling, we had 6 samples, which covered about a 25-meter area, which averaged just over 2 grams. So again, a good strong indication of near surface mineralization that we tested with diamond drilling this year. All the assays are still pending for this year's drilling, so we'll be putting out some news on that fairly soon, hopefully. This slide shows a schematic cross-section on the left here for the drilling we did last year. You can see sort of in the light pink color, that's a structural corridor that we've interpreted. It's about 100 meters wide, and within that, each one of the holes we drilled last year had multiple gold intersections, and then there seemed to be a focus of high-grade material more or less within the central part of that structural corridor. So again, this year's drilling really was designed to, follow that along strike, down dip, and so on to establish size, potential, and continuity. This is a structural interpretation that our consulting structural geologist did for us. Basically what he does, he takes the aeromagnetic data primarily and the LiDAR data and comes up with a really nice structural story or interpretation to try to, indicate some of the controlling structures, the relative timing, and so on. Most of the gold mineralization that we're dealing with in the Yukon is structurally controlled. So really understanding the structure is key to being able to plan your drill programs efficiently and drill these things right. And we routinely do what we call optical televiewer borehole surveys on all our drilling, both including diamond and RAB drilling. And really that provides some really useful information. There's not a lot of outcrop in the Yukon. The overburden is only very thin, maybe, but it's a thin veneer that covers most everything. So the optical televiewer really gives us a lot of valuable information in combination with these structural interpretations is really, really, really useful for our programs. This is our Betty property. This one is located in the southern part of our land package. Just for reference, you can see the red star there that shows where Newmont's Coffee project is. The green star, that's the casino project owned by Western Copper and Gold that they just announced they're doing a new feasibility study on that project. So, we're sitting in the neighborhood of a couple of significant deposits. You can see where the Betty is. We're just off to the east from those projects. But we really like the geology in the area that we're sitting in there. And you can kind of get a sense. This is the aeromagnetics shown in this slide. And the main reason we include this, you can see where the yellow star is, the Coffee deposit off on the left to the west. And then you can trace basically the Coffee Creek Fault all the way off to the east over towards our Betty property. So really the Coffee Creek Fault is a significant regional structure. A lot of orogenic, what we call orogenic gold systems. You do see these, deep-seated regional structures. They basically act as conduits for the gold mineralizing fluids. So, the gold mineralization sometimes is on those structures. Sometimes it's on secondary or tertiary faults or splays just off those structures. But the geological setting for the Betty area, we really like it. I think it's one of our, most prospective projects. This slide is basically a map showing some of the targets and some of the drilling that's been done in the past. Again, I just want to make note that none of the previous drilling is diamond drilling. It's all RAB drilling and what we call RC, reverse circulation drilling. So you can see that the drilling in the froms and the twos and the tables is very, very shallow. Like the deepest intercept shown here is like 120 meters. So the diamond drilling we did this year, we selected two targets, the Betty Ford target and the Betty White. You can see them there labeled on the map. What you're seeing there in the base map, these are your gold in soil point anomaly maps. So, the Betty Ford, the Betty White, we did drilling on those this year. Still waiting on assays, but this is the first ever diamond drilling on that project. You can see we did some RAB drilling on the Betty Ford back in 2018. That's shown in the top table. One of those holes, hole 2, we had 1 gram over 50 meters. So again, that's nice, near surface mineralization, open pitable. We hadn't been back until this year to really follow up on that. So we're excited about that one. Then the mascot target that you see just off to the east there, that's another area. Ethos Gold had optioned the property a few years ago. Back in 2012, they did some RC drilling, and again, you can see they came away with some really nice, encouraging results, both bulk tonnage type intersections as well as some higher grade. We didn't drill that one this year, but what we're planning on doing is a more detailed interpretation on the target itself. Last year we did a lot of infill, detailed soil sampling. I think we have a much better resolution now on the anomaly itself. So we're going to look at it in the off season, reinterpret it, and plan a more detailed drill program next year. But again, lots of blue sky here on the Betty property for sure. This is the NOLAN property. Basically, this is right up in the northwest part of our land package. So we're very close to the Alaska border here, actually. The left side of the map really just shows the Alaska-Yukon border. The map on the left there, that's the first vertical magnetics, the aeromagnetics. Just a couple of things I want to point out there to you. The bold dashed black line, that's the 60-mile Pika Fault. That's a major regional structure. Again, it's about 150 kilometers long. You can trace it all the way back into Alaska, and it's known to control a lot of the late Cretaceous porphyry and epithermal style mineralization in this area. The yellow dashed line, that's the outlines the placer gold production along the 60-mile river. So again, I think somewhere in the order of just over about 500,000 ounces of gold and then placer gold has been produced from the area and is still quite active. And then in that northern part of the property, we have a number of targets either on that structure or very close by or proximal. So the CALI is really the one that we've been focused on for the last year or so. And the next slide, I'll show you a little bit of a blow up of that one. And if you come down through the property to the south, you see the Boucher target in the central part. That's more of a copper gold molybdenum target. And then in the southern part of the land package is the Mount HART target. That's a very large geochemical anomaly, measures about 5 kilometers by 2.5 to 3 kilometers. So again, some of these targets on the NOLAN have some really nice size potential, or we feel they do for sure, and haven't been drill tested. So it's exciting. This is the CALI target. Again, the geology here is fairly simple. You can see the 60-mile Pika Fault, which separates the two major lithological units. We've got what we call metasediments to the north, and then we've got the orthogneisses in the light pink color to the south. And you can see this is a gold and soil point anomaly map. So all the reds, the oranges, and so on, that's the anomaly itself. It's about 2 kilometers long. We had planned on diamond drilling that one this year as well. What happened, we did a bit more drilling on the white gold property than we originally planned, and we kind of ran out of time at the tail end of the field season. But in any case, we built drill pads this year, and we'll be drill testing this one early next year. But again, it's an early stage target, but it's got some good size potential. Hasn't been diamond drill tested, so it's just begging to be drilled. This is the same property, the NOLAN, and this is the Mount HART geochemical anomaly in that southern part of the property. And you can see, the size dimensions there. The map on the left is the gold in soils again, and you can see the scale bar basically. That's 3 kilometers. So the anomaly itself measures about 5 kilometers north-south by 2.5 to 3 kilometers east-west. When you overlay that on the geology map, which we've done on the right map, you can see that there seems to be a fairly close spatial association with some of these late Cretaceous rocks, which would include the Carmax volcanics, and then some of these plutons that you can see. The blue color is diorite. We've got granite. So anyway, we really like the area. We think there's good potential for a number of different deposit types here, including porphyries, epithermal mineralization, as well as structurally controlled gold. So, it's a big anomaly. It's fairly complex. This year's program focused mostly on geological mapping. We spent about 2.5 weeks in there. We also did a new LiDAR survey, and we're going to be getting a new structural interpretation done. So, really just trying to advance the property and get it ready for drilling a little bit later, whether that's next year or the year after. But we'll definitely be drilling CALI next year. This is the last property we're going to look at. This is the BONANZA. This is located just south of Dawson City, about 10 kilometers to the south. It's really one of our more intriguing properties. this area was ground zero basically for the historic Klondike Gold Rush. Bonanza Creek and El Dorado Creek was a tributary just to the south. Both of those creeks produced over 6 million ounces of placer gold. So, we really are sitting in a nice area. Shawn Ryan originally staked these claims about 15 years ago. The Geological Survey of Canada had just released some new airborne geophysical data. Shawn noted, a nice magnetic anomaly running up or parallel with Bonanza Creek. So the combination of all the placer gold production, the interpreted structure based on the magnetics was sort of the impetus to originally stake it. And really not a lot of hard rock exploration had been done here, despite all that placer gold production. But what we did last year, we went in and we did a lot of infill soil sampling, more detailed sampling. We expanded our coverage up in areas that hadn't been sampled before. And what we came away with, if you look at the map on the left there, that's golden soils. But we identified a number of these very nicely defined linear golden soil anomalies. There's arsenic associated with some of those as well, but not all. So, again, these anomalies weren't identified previously. What we did after that, we took the LiDAR data and the magnetics, gave that to our consultant. He did a new structural interpretation for us. And what we came away with was that a lot of these geochemical anomalies are basically falling right along these interpreted structures. They're coincident with those structures. So this year, we basically selected a number of these. We did, again, this GT probe survey. That's where we take the samples 5-meter spacing at the bedrock interface. And then late in the season, we drilled about 6 short raffles to test some of those. All assays are pending, but we'll see. If we get encouraging results, we'll come back in next year with a diamond drill. So I think we're almost out of time here, but just wanted to highlight, I guess, some key takeaways, for the company and the projects. Really, the size of the land package is impressive. We've got a lot of ground, about 40% of the quartz claims in the district. There's been a lot of placer gold production in the area, but having said that, not a lot of modern day hard rock exploration, maybe with the exception of the last 10, 15 years. And again, that's resulted in some new discoveries. We've got a unique mix of early and discovery stage projects, including the gold and saddle ARC and VG deposits for the gold resources, and they're, surface, open pitable. We've got a strong geographic and commodity focus, being in the Yukon, and gold is really our primary focus. And again, we're led by a management team, including Shawn, with a good track record of making significant gold discoveries. And in terms of news flow, I think you can be looking out for results from our 2021 diamond drill programs. Again, Ryan Surprise, Uli's Ridge, that's another target on the White Gold property, and the Betty, first ever diamond drilling. And then, again, we did some regional work, including work on Bonanza and NOLAN, and we'll be putting out a new 43101 mineral resource update for the VG deposit. So, again, I think we're out of time, but that's it, and that's White Gold Corp. Got a question here in terms of milestones for the end of year for 2022. Again, I think a more stronger focus on drilling will be in the cards for us. As I said, Betty was the first ever diamond drilling on that project this year, so I have no doubt we'll be back there next year doing more drilling, as well as on some of our other projects. So I think that's it, people. Thanks very much for listening in, and I hope you like the story. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any specific questions or you want to learn more about the company. We'd be more than happy to provide that information or have a separate meeting or what have you. Thank you very much.